Oh.
That's the problem.
It's like herding cats, I swear.
Yeah, it is like hurting cats. Like,
Herding
you hurt us.
cats.
You hurt my feelings.
What is wrong with this thing?
Well,
Dogs are getting hungry.
You can kick rocks if you don't like how I talk. I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk. Ain't changing my tone, ain't changing my song. I was born this way, been loud too long.
Episode 2, Red River Live.
woohoo! It's snowing.
It is snowing.
Snowing. I wore my snow
Oh, are we
outfit
live
today.
right now?
We're live.
We are.
Is my microphone
We're
working?
not live, but we're
How do we know if this thing working?
it's working.
Why do you wear your microphone on your hat? Is that like the cool thing to do?
That is a cool thing to do.
Oh,
Interesting.
interesting. What are we talking about today? Where are we
Oh,
going
we
What
have
is-
so much to talk about today. So much to talk about. Everybody wants to know where all of the contention started and why Michael's been running for office and why there's such a
Well, you
beef.
know I've been running for office. I'm your puppet.
Oh yeah, you're my
That's what we hear.
I mean, that's how they did the campaign 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Thanks for letting me choose your underwear this morning, Mike.
You're welcome. Cheetah print.
Is that cheap?
Thong.
Is that why they were ripped?
I don't know what happened last night.
But yeah, just kind of jumping into where everything started. I gave you the story of how I ended up in Red River, and for about the first year and a half that I was in Red River, I told you I kept my head down and I was just working on the lodge, trying to get it converted back into running as a nightly unit or a nightly facility rather than just being a monthly facility. Half the units, complete disrepair. But we started the coffee shop.
What made you decide to open a coffee shop? Just curious.
I just felt like the caboose just needed to be a coffee shop. It just felt like it was supposed to be a coffee shop. So I don't know.
It was a hot dog stand before, wasn't it? Like
hot dogs, like smoothies,
Okay.
and
We did a smoke
Vape.
shop too.
Vape.
Yeah.
yeah. We opened February 7th, and literally almost a month to the day COVID hit, and the ski area closed the second week of spring break that year. The mandates started coming down from federal government and from the state level, and they refunded everybody that second week and sent everybody packing. Well, it really wasn't that big of a deal at the time because obviously we lost the last week of spring break because of COVID, which was a big deal. But we were also going into off season, which is our longest period of off season for a couple of months. And nobody really thought a whole lot about it, just simply because it's typical of that season to just be shut down. And we started nearing the end of off season, and the mayor was putting out messaging on Facebook on the town's page that had 100,000 followers. She was doing TV interviews. She had the tourism director doing TV interviews, and all the messaging was saying, "Do not come to Red River. Now is not the time to come to Red River." And we were just getting into that June season where it was like, oh crap, what are we going to do? And because we had the coffee shop and because I was working in it every day, I started having tons of locals just come into the coffee shop every day, just afraid, and I think one of the things that I've decided about all of this is that I'm not going to withhold names. I think that when I share stories, I'm going to incorporate names just because I think it lends credibility to the stories, but it also is just the truth. And one of the things that I've, coming into this, really spent, honestly, a lot of time just kind of praying about what to say, what not to say. But I just feel like we're supposed to put it all out there. And I think that means too just sharing names as they come up in stories.
I agree,
Not-
because I think that's what's gotten us where we're at. I think that a lot of things are just swept under the rug. We don't say who said it. We don't like get verificate. We don't get any of that.
Have receipts.
And we don't, but we do have receipts.
do,
Like
but
we
it
do
doesn't
have
matter.
receipts, but it's so then it like appears to be that it's not really what it is. And I think that we just need to be brutally honest with everything and put everything out on the table, because we're in a weird position right now. Our whole town is, and I think it's because we're sweeping too much under the rug.
Yeah. And in reality, because these names of these people are tied to the stories, doesn't necessarily reflect things in a negative light. They're just stories. And, you know, in the coffee shop, people like Vicky Swigert were coming into the coffee shop. And I didn't know Vicky at the time. I had no relationship with her. But she was coming in, and we started having conversations as she was getting her drink, and then we were talking about COVID and talking about the shutdown and talking about some of the messaging that was going out on Facebook. And, you know, Vicky was one that expressed some concern, saying, you know, we have a huge mortgage on the Alpine Lodge, and what are we going to do? And we got to be able to make this mortgage payment when it comes due. And I started having, you know, tons of people coming into the coffee shops, the Rob Swans, the Tracy and Chris Greens at the time. You know, they were just, it started this organic posture of we have to do something about the messaging that's going out on Facebook. And it all started in the coffee shop, almost coffee shop gossip. And so a group of people formed very organically and said, we need to do something. And the first time we met, we had probably 20 to 25 people meet in the lobby of the coffee shop. And this was, I think, is in May. And we knew summer was coming on, and we knew the messaging was going out. We knew they were doing radio and TV interviews, and we had started putting some pressure on. I had had conversations with Linda and said, Linda, we gotta reverse this messaging. Like, this is not going to work. Like, we need people to come to Red River.
Was this your first time having those conversations?
Yeah.
Like having any conversations with
Yes.
Linda?
Yes, it was the first real interaction I'd had with Linda. We started putting pressure collectively as a group on her to change the messaging. We talked about going to the state to protest because people were just scared. You know, they were very honestly scared about what it meant for their businesses. And with messaging that was going out on public forums where the town had over 100,000 followers, and, you know, KQRE doing TV interviews, and I know what we were doing at the time was placating to the governor.
Yes.
And we were doing what the governor was demanding of us. But it really felt like an attack on local businesses. And businesses were afraid. So we formed the Red River Business Alliance. And we pushed. We asked for them to reverse their positions. We asked for Linda to reverse her position. And she kept, you know, giving us lip service, saying, yes, I'm going to reverse our position. Well, it never happened. And one day in a council meeting, a public council meeting on Zoom, recorded council meeting, we could go back to those council meetings and pull all the records, the notes, all of the above.
If you can hear
All
them.
of this is documented. So, and it's all witnessed because it was in a public format. I asked Linda very specifically, I said, Linda, I've noticed that obviously you're running for state representative, because she was running for state rep at the time. And she was posting every day on her Facebook page about the state rep race, which she lost miserably.
Yep.
I mean, it was bad. But the posts were coming out 2-3 times a day, daily at least.
Feels like what it feels like now.
Yeah.
We're getting 2 and 3 posts
Yeah.
a day now too.
Yeah, 2 and 3 posts a day.
And then she goes silent.
But she was posting all of this about her state representative race. And in this public council meeting, I said, I noticed that you post every single day about your state rep race, but you've yet to post one single time for the sake of the constituency which you represent, who you hope will vote for you in the state rep race. You've yet to post for the benefit of these businesses, which are all 100% dependent on tourism revenue, that you want to reverse your position. And you've told us that you would do that. And how do you expect us as a constituency to support you in this race when you won't even support our businesses? And she flew off a handle. She's like, we're going to do it today. And they did. She pulled in Todd, who was working for the town at the time, and recorded a video, and they posted it that day. And she reversed her position and told people it was okay to come to Red River. But it wasn't without public pressure. Anything that we did in private, it never mattered. And I learned that day that with Linda, if you want to get anything done, you have to put pressure on her publicly.
Which is awful, because then they like come at you and say, why are you making this so public? Why are you making
Yes.
us all look bad? Why are you? But what we're finding is, and it's a pattern, and it sounds like it's a pattern from way back when, that like the only way you can get anywhere is like in meetings, publicly saying anything, online, this podcast, and because everyone says, sit down and have a conversation. We try.
Yeah.
And then she denies having, Michael has had meetings with her, and she has completely denied ever having a meeting with
That's
them.
a fact.
And it blows my mind that she just denies. And then we have meetings where the video used to be posted. Now they've taken that away. They don't want transparency. She can say all day long she wants transparency. It's like written all over one of her 2 or 3 posts that she's posting now. All of a sudden, she has been silent for the last 2 years, and now she's posting about transparency and everything. But the truth is, she doesn't want that, because if they did, then our town council meetings would be recorded, and they would be recorded well. Cuesta does a heck of a job recording theirs. They post them live. You can see them. Our
You can
sound
hear
quality,
them.
you can
You can
hear
hear
them.
them. That's
Our
the main
sound
thing.
quality is terrible. And what town employees have said is that that's on purpose,
Yes.
so that you can't hear it. And now I asked Max at one of the last meetings, why are you no longer posting our videos? Why are you no longer posting town council meetings? Well, if you want it, you can request it. And then they know what meeting we're looking at. And then they can ask us questions, and then they can dig into what we're looking into.
Yeah, and
There's
how-
no transparency.
Yeah, how often have people gone and asked for things from the city and then you can't get it? Like open records.
It's,
Well,
there's
yeah.
questions. They want to
Yeah.
know what you're asking for, and because they want control over
Or
it, so
they're
that they
afraid,
can.
or they're
Yeah.
afraid to ask for open records because they're afraid what that means for them. And I'm going to get into that, because the moment that I asked Linda to reverse her position in public was the moment everything changed for me personally. And I've never told this story, and I'll be honest with you, the reason I've never told this story publicly, and I've thought about sharing it 100 times, is because, one, I love Red River. I absolutely love Red River, and I don't want to do anything to hurt the image of what people have of Red River. And we talked about that in the last episode. You know, we all came to Red River with this image of what Red River was,
And we all love it.
and we do
Yes.
love it. We absolutely love it. But enough is enough, and it's time to start sharing the story, and it's time that people understand where we're coming from, because I do believe that a lot of people think that we're just stirring up shit.
Well, that's how the other side spins it a lot of times.
That's how they spin it.
And that it's victim mentality.
Sure.
They're
Yep.
the victims,
Yep.
and we're mean, and we're coming at them.
And I don't want to approach this as from the standpoint that I share everything that Linda's done wrong and I don't talk about what I've done wrong. In reality, there are things that I've done wrong too, you know, wanting to be completely authentic. You know, the Bible says that there's an actual commandment that says we're not supposed to bear false witness. And I don't want to ever cross a line where I say something about Linda and I don't give the truth about me. And the reality is, I was building a pergola next to the coffee shop at the time. I had been building on it for a month. She had seen it. She was right across the street watching me build it for a month. Everybody in town had seen me building it because there was nothing going on at the time. And then literally within days of me confronting Linda in public, I was turned into the state for building a pergola without a permit, without a state permit. Was I building a pergola without a permit? Absolutely I was. And I was in the wrong.
And you know that I hate defending you. I hate it. But there are a lot of people who do a lot of things here without permits.
Right.
And you just come from Texas.
And
Yes.
so there's
a lot of
this
places
whole
don't
thing
require it.
about permitting here in town, and like people are doing it, they're all doing it, everyone's done, but it's not it's like either she likes you or she doesn't,
Sure.
and you either have to pull permits or not. So like if everyone had to pull permits, fine.
Yeah.
If everyone didn't, whatever.
Well,
but I'm not saying that's okay, but I'm just saying like rules don't apply for everyone, and it's not till she gets mad at you that she then tries to pull those.
Sure.
Permit
Well, and there's going to be
Yes.
a pattern of that
Yes.
that I'm going to reveal over the next few
Yes.
episodes.
Yes.
And that is true. I was at fault, but I had also spent the first year and a half that I was here renovating the lodge, and I'm putting this all on the record. That's the thing. Like I'm putting it all out there. Like I did this, and I did it wrong, and I never pulled permits for anything that I did. I'm just putting it all on the record. Whatever that means for me, whatever repercussions come as a result of that, I've decided in this process that if I'm going to hold somebody responsible for their actions, I'm going to be honest about my actions. I'm not going to put something out there about somebody else and then try to conceal or hide something that I've done, because I don't think that's fair and I don't think it's integrous. And I feel like I have to have integrity in this process. I remodeled units at the Pioneer, and Linda knew, everybody in town knew, everybody was talking about it. In fact, I had comments from people like Linda and saying, "We hear you're doing a great job over there. Can we come and take a look at it?" Linda never came and looked at it, but other people in town did come and look at what we were doing. And some of it was just very simple painting and very light work, but making them ready to rent as nightly units. And I had spent, so that's the context. I'd spent a year and a half doing that. I had spent a month building this pergola, and nobody said a word. Not one word from the town, not one word from Linda, not a conversation. And then one day, Tim Boren, here's another name, Tim Boren was our marshal at the time. Tim Boren shows up and says, "Matt, you got to stop construction." It was the day that I was pouring concrete, and I had concrete trucks lined up ready to pour. And I looked at Tim Boren and I said, "Tim, I appreciate everything you guys represent and everything that you do for our town. And I do respect our marshal's office. I do respect our law enforcement. But I'll be damned if I'm going to stop pouring this concrete in the middle of a pour. I'm not doing it. Whatever you got to do, I understand, do it." And the town's P&Z position at the time was Sloan. Sloan's wife showed up, started taking pictures, started telling me that I couldn't be doing what I was doing after a month of building this thing and nobody saying a word. And I went and had a conversation with Linda, and Linda said, "Well, Matt, you have electrical. You can't do electrical." I said, "It's real funny that the electrical was all in place before anybody came and had a conversation with me, before anybody said a word. And it feels like targeting. It feels like political targeting because of what I said in a council meeting." And because this was my first experience in the situation, I didn't know if it was targeting, but I knew that the timing of it was very sketchy. The fact that I just confronted her in a council meeting, and then within days I'm targeted, and I was turned into the state on criminal charges. I say that again, criminal charges for building a pergola without a permit. And I had a conversation. I said, listen, I'm from Texas. I didn't know you had to have a pergola or a permit for a pergola, because in Texas we don't have to have permits for pergolas. In fact, there's a lot of things in Texas we don't have to have permits for. And, well, you did electrical. And I said these words to her. I used the same licensed electrician that you just used on the Durr Market to do my work on the pergola. He has his own license. He has his own ability to pull permits. And it was Johnny Gonzalez at the time. Johnny's no longer with us. He passed away, but Johnny had done the work, and he was a licensed electrician. So I'd used a licensed electrician to do everything that I needed to do, and called Johnny. I was like, Johnny, I don't know. I think I might have us in some hot water because we did all of this work. He's like, I'm licensed. I'll talk to the state no matter what. We'll be cool. Well, I had to hire an attorney, and I spent 1.5 years in court fighting criminal charges, and finally had those charges dismissed after 1.5 years. It cost me thousands.
Which
of
is just
dollars.
crazy because,
Ridiculous.
and it's crazy that she's able to use like town money to like do this to business owners and to do this because like she doesn't have to worry about it. And I am curious, did the Durr pull permits for their electrical work? That may be a situation, because I know in the past they haven't. And when we've confronted it at council meetings and said it, she said, that's not my building. I don't own that building. So it's funny how rules apply for some and rules don't apply for others. And then you get criminal charges. So does that mean they can get criminal charges, but we can't use town money and town attorneys to go after them for not doing it? We would have to use our own again.
to defend
it's just
ourselves,
to
yeah.
defend ourselves. It's not fair, and it's a waste of town money. People want to say that some of the stuff going on right now with like the elections is a waste of town money. The way that Linda has used our attorneys in the past is a waste of town money.
Sure.
Yep.
Well, it began a process over the course of the next 5 years. And over the next 3 or 4 episodes, I'm going to outline every detail of what's happened. And it's a lot. It's going to take 3 to 4 episodes to cover it all. The next episode, we'll talk about my experience with the town logo, where I requested permission to use the town logo when we hired Happy to do our branding and marketing, and what that experience was like. And after that, we'll talk about my experience on Economic Development Committee with Karen Kelly and Clay Robertson, who are also part of our Red River Business Alliance at the time, and being removed from that particular committee. I'm going to talk about the process of doing work here when we started tearing fences down and got hammered from the town about tearing a fence down, and what that process looked like. I'm going to go through it all. I'm just going to lay it all out on the line so that everybody can see. I want us to talk about some of the things that have happened in the process where, you know, after the mayoral election 2 years ago, you know, Linda decided to appoint Angela as a council member. And
Instead of putting it out there and letting people apply like she did last time.
Sure.
When
Yeah.
Sloan left.
I want to talk about
It's not fair to the town.
JJ and Stephen Annette Williams, who were our marshals at the time,
Great marshals.
and
yes.
them being removed from their positions and some of the shady things that happened behind the scenes there. I want to lay it all out on the line. And the reason is...
we even have some stories to tell about stuff that have happened
Sure.
when we were opening the gym or when we were opening the hardware. I mean, like we've got some stuff too.
And the reason I want to lay it all out on the line is not because it's one instance. Like, I have a lot of grace, and I've had conversations, personal conversations, where I've sat down face to face with Linda, and I've tried to reason with Linda, and I've tried to fix the issues that I've had. In fact, one of the stories I'm going to outline, Jackie was present as a witness for when they started hammering us about what we were doing at Vine. And the conversation that I had with her was extremely heated, and it was all for the purpose of reasoning. Like, listen, you're doing these things, but you're having a position towards me that is a double standard. And I had that conversation. I used those words with her. And every time I think we're at a place of resolution, it happens again. And I think we're at the place now where after time after time after time of trying to correct this in private, now it's time to correct it publicly. And this is just the beginning. This is how it started. And over the course of the last 5 years, it's only gotten worse and worse and worse. I think my goal in all of this is that the people that are trying to support Linda and what Linda's doing, if they can support her after this, then the problem's really bigger than me, and the problem's bigger than you. And I think that it's time to lay it all on the line. And I honestly think it's time to really seek a resignation from her as a mayor, because there's a pattern of behavior. And I know it didn't start with me. This story started with me, but I know it has existed in the last 22 years that she's been the mayor. It has to have existed with other people. And I think people are afraid to share their stories. I think it's important that we tell the story for us, but I also think it's important that we tell the story because I think other people have similar experiences and they're afraid to share them. And I think people are afraid to say what truly has happened to them for fear of repercussion.
They are, and that's why the division was here before we came.
Yes.
And then, we have people coming forward, and we are the taxpayers.
Yeah, sure.
We pay, we contribute to what goes on in this town.
Yep. And I don't want to masquerade and pretend like I'm perfect. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm
We
not.
know.
No,
We know.
I know you know.
no one's perfect.
No, but I think the best way someone described it to me was they had told me, like, just think about it. Like, we grew up here and this is the way it's always been. And we don't know any better. Like, we really don't know any better. So these things are happening and like y'all are bringing them up and it makes us mad at first. But then we're like, oh, that is kind of messed up. And I think about it just like with trauma and things that people go through in like childhood and stuff. You don't realize that something isn't right until you see like a healthy version, or you like learn about, oh, they do it a different way, or like these meetings are supposed to be transparent. Oh, they're supposed to communicate to us. Oh, we're allowed to know where our town money goes. Oh, we're allowed to ask questions because up until this point, like people are just shut down and they are threatened with legal stuff and they're threatened, and this is people's livelihoods. And you were able to withstand it being like a single man here. But like, think about if someone had a family and they had like their kid, and not that you don't have a family, but do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, think about if you had like little kids and you're trying to build a business and you can't because like the town is coming at you. That's scary. And that's not fair.
Well, I do have a family. I have kids.
You do.
And I have
Yes.
grandkids, and they've all pushed back. I'll be honest with you. They've pushed back on me. And they were like, this affects us too. Like, what you're doing affects us too. And I finally just made a decision. Like, I think this is for the good of Red River. I think this is for the benefit of Red River. And I think people initially will think this is going to hurt Red River. But I think freeing Red River from the control of Linda
Absolutely.
is the best thing that could happen for Red River.
Amen.
And I think that instead of pretending it's family friendly, let's really be family friendly.
Right.
Let's really let's just stop sweeping things under the rug. Let's confront things. Let's stop letting things like get carried away. And let's like really be what this town is supposed to, like what we think this town is.
Sure.
Like, let's really make it that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and we've all seen the PR campaign, or what I'm going to say, this is my opinion. Over the course of the last couple of months since the election, we've seen what I think is a PR campaign.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I think Linda knows what's coming. I think she knows that we were on the precipice of telling our story.
And she's putting
And-
out there that things on Facebook and communication on Facebook is not the way to handle things. You need to go to meetings and you need to be on committees and you need to do this. But we've tried all of that. We've done all of that and gotten kicked off of committees and not picked for committees and yelled at meetings and like just, it doesn't work.
Sure. Well,
It's unfortunate.
it's from
Yeah.
a place, in my opinion, it's from a place of manipulation.
It is.
And I think there's a mass manipulation being perpetrated on Red River. And some people, they're not manipulated. They know exactly what's going on and they're accomplices to it. They're okay with it. And that's not okay for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's time that the people that are in the dark, my real prayer is that through this, that the scales just fall off people's eyes and they start to see the truth. And that it causes a level of accountability that's absolutely necessary at this point. I've gone through every avenue trying to handle these things in private, gone through every avenue of trying to handle these things with legally. And now it's time that the public knows. So episode 1, and I will promise you that after this episode, it only gets worse. The details of everything that I've documented over the years, because I have kept documentation on it, and the conversations that I've had, that I've documented over the years has only increased. The pressure has only increased. So I do encourage anybody listening to this podcast that has a familiar story, a similar story that sounds familiar to what we're expressing now, reach out to us. Because one, we'd love to have you on the podcast. We'd love to have those conversations. One of the things that we've discussed is, yes, this podcast is going to start on a negative note, but I really believe that it's going to turn positive, and that the goal is that we hear the stories from locals and from people that are here that are not just negative and bent towards exposing Linda, but they're also stories of Red River that people can connect to and fall back in love with Red River for.
Yeah.
And so we'd love to have interviews. We'd love, if you don't want to share your story on camera, you don't want to be on the podcast, it's totally fine. But if you want to share your story with us, we'd love to have that information. And however we can convey that information live, we'd love to do it too. So,
And I think our plan is to like weave in some like good stuff and some funny stuff and but yes, we're starting off a little rough.
yeah.
But we have to like start off
It's
that
gotta
way.
be
to-
exposed.
Like we have to
Period.
tell the story. This is like our only way to be able to like be heard and tell the story, so that we can get to all the good stuff. Because there are some like wonderful things that have happened to all of us. It's brought all of us together. I mean, like our friendship is kind of because of all of this. So like, thank you for that, I guess. No, but for sure, not I guess, but yeah,
I guess.
but I think, I guess, no, but I think that there's going to be some like good stuff too. So, but you know, we got to tell the truth. We got to talk about some of the hard stuff we've been through so that you can understand where we are now and what we're doing.
Yeah, we're going to bring all this stuff to the light, and then the podcast is going to be pretty much about light. We're going to bring all sorts of cool people on, and that's our goal.
Yes.
Yeah, lots of great stories from the town.
Parting words, Michael.
Episode 2.
Stay tuned.
Happy birthday,
Stay
Mike.
tuned.
Hey, happy
Oh,
birthday.
thank you.
Yes.
Stay tuned for episode 3.
Yeah.
That's right.
Red River Live.
You can kick rocks if you don't like how I talk. I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk. Ain't changing my tone, ain't changing my song. I was born this way, been loud to